If it ain't Nolazine TV, don't put it on.
This is Geedy, and you're now watching Nolazine TV.
Okay, everybody already know I'm gonna get an interview before. So now we're gonna get into like a few topics on today.
Thank you for having me back too, and shout out Lord to Club too. I want to say that.
Hey, but shout out Blizzard behind the camera because y'all might be hearing him chiming in on this one. Okay, so we on also the last time we talked, if we talked about New Orleans, needed one. Well, New Orleans actually needed one music artist / rapper or something to actually blow.
Right.
And here we are now. We got Rob49. We got some other artists growing, and we got people shooting movies. We have just the media outlets growing.
Clothing designers are kind of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So and so how do you feel about just everything? Because as far as your Instagram page, you always shine light on just New Orleans.
Well, yeah, I shine, like you said, that's my main focus. I try to be inclusive to everywhere, but my heart is always New Orleans. So like I said, it's great to see Rob49 got his deal, Sean Cotton being involved with that, and Sean coming out, being in the video, helping out. Like you said, with Superbad doing a lot of artists, the clothing designers, the people that's doing movies and everything. I really feel good about it. I feel like we're in a good place in hip-hop, and I feel like that wave that he creating gonna open up a lot of doors for a lot of other artists. So shout out to Rob49 and that song on Vulture Island, even the remix with Lil Baby coming out, and everybody coming out that probably never seen a big artist like Baby or Gates and them at one time, and what he was able to do, I think that was dope. And I feel like there's gonna be more of that to come, and that Vulture Island kind of impacted the city and the state, kind of like how Kodak No Flocking was in 2014. The reason why I say that because No Flocking didn't have a hook, and Vulture Island don't really have a hook, and like I said, it's been able to create this big buzz, whatever, and help put him out there like that. So I think that's good for the culture, the city, and the state, and just a whole lot of stuff that's to come. So I feel like we're in a good place right now, with you doing media, other people doing media, us telling our stories, us just trying to create our own little thing. So I like it. I feel good about it.
All right. Speaking of having the hook, how rare is that? Actually for an artist to actually have one on a hit record. Mm-hmm. Without having one on the hook, because usually people actually sing along to the hooks.
Right. I mean, people do it or whatever and all that. I mean, that's not with the traditional thing, a label or A&R want you to have a song without a hook. They always be, oh no, you gotta have a hook or whatever, something to sing along to, something catchy. But throughout history, they had a lot of songs that didn't have hooks and stuff like that. So, like I said, just like I mentioned, the Kodak record was a song that didn't have a hook, and it was real big for him and stuff like that. And like I said, it happened with Rob, and they didn't want him to do that, and they didn't think that was the one, but that wound up being the one. But like I said, it happens. It's just the things that might be in a record that might be catchy lines that you just never forget. And here's that yee stuff and other stuff too, but that's one of the main things that people remember the most.
Yeah, for that song, everybody really got caught on with that yee. Mm-hmm. That was just automatic. Everybody just going around yee, and they don't even know yee mean.
Right.
So I'm still trying to figure it out. I need to go ask him.
Right.
I want to know what your definition of what you think he mean by yee.
I mean, I'm just thinking it's some like you say, he called himself a vulture. I'm just thinking that's like their lingo. That's the way they talk with them. So when vultures talk to each other, they say yee. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. That's the noise his vultures
Well, I'm going to say this, but the first time I posted that, Rob49 had the city going yee, mm-hmm. a lot of people, in the night ward, mm-hmm. said we came up with that, yee.
Okay.
So, they were kind of on me at first, Rob49 got the whole city saying that, we got him saying that. So, I didn't even know how it was spelled. I just spelled it how I thought. I put yee.
Right.
But I didn't know you were saying yee or yee. I just put it where I wanted to put it.
Right. Well, like I said, it could have been. And they might be right about that. Rob is, he got night war ties and he got 4 war ties. So it is a big possibility that did come from there. But it wouldn't be a bad thing because, like I said, he got night war ties. So if he did get it from round away, that is a part that he's from. And to even piggyback on that, I know a lot of times people say, well, how somebody could rep the night war and the 4 war because his name is combined with both of the wars he grew up in. And most people that say that's Deuce Ward. But Birdman rep the 13th and the Third Ward. You know, he represents Saratoga and Radon. He represents, I think, Saratoga and Valence. So people could do that or whatever. But like I said, both of those areas influenced them. So it's a possibility they could have came from that. I don't know, but only person could really answer that, you know, truthfully, probably be him. But I wouldn't say it probably didn't come from Ronnie. But maybe he did start it on his own. I don't know.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you, like, just my opinion, that like the dopest thing with him is that he was the first person from downtown, for my knowledge, to go really mainstream on his own.
Damn.
Because other people, you know, they had Mr. Mad, they were signing to him.
Right.
Talk about when I see on his own, like he really on his own, like it was no big major label backing. Like it was a whole new type of way he
right, because I guess when you say kid, he was still Wayne, August Alsina.
August Alsina really like kind of
he a singer. Yeah.
You know,
August represented Ken and that one, so I guess that could go either way. But I mean,
shout out
Kenna,
matter of fact.
Yeah, shout out Kenna too. But like I said, coming straight from the underground or whatever on YouTube,
and
like, we seen in the city, and
with like you said, he was one of the few rappers that made it on their own since maybe Baby Boy.
Who you talking about? August?
I mean Rob.
Rob, yeah, and then what I like about Rob,
August Alsina is a singer. Like we have a lot of singers that's in the music industry. Like people don't really like spread the light. Like you know. Of a Lucky Day,
right? Shout out John Baptiste,
John Baptiste. We have a lot. PJ Morton. We have a lot of singers that's made it on their own. Right. But when it comes to rapping, we were only known from them two labels helping people come up.
Right. Prepare that. Like
besides Baby Boy and Chopper.
Nah, you right.
Willow. I can't say Chopper
because it was still Chopper on them. Yeah.
But like Baby Boy, like really, like he was like the only.
But like I said, Chopper record was even high before P kind of stamped.
But that was in New Orleans.
But I mean, it was in a regional era. But like I said, I know what you're saying. You're saying that Rob did it on the internet in this era, and we really seen it right here. And he from downtown. What I do like is that Baby co-signed him and stamped him and sang from uptown to downtown, which traditionally you heard Birdman say like, I only fuck with a few niggas downtown. I like to see my work uptown. So for him to really give him this blessing and co-sign him and pass the torch to Rob49 from downtown to uptown, that was a good look for the city. On top of, like you said, coming from the bottom, being from downtown. That is, you know, and like I said, everybody had a chance. Like they say in the Bible, the last will be first and the first will be last. And I feel like, you know, people get their chance, and he got a chance right now. He putting on. He doing a good job.
So I got this question for you. What do you think an artist needs to be like the next artist to come after Rob49? Because I tell people, every time I seen labels come grab people from like, you know, different cities, those artists like was separated themselves from every artist. Like Rob don't sound like nobody down here. Right. He don't move like nobody down here. So it's like most of these artists who've been like putting on for a while now kind of still been like trying to keep that sound of Cash Money No Limit. So like, what do you think that an artist would need to actually come after Rob?
Well, I mean, like I said, to even talk about that, like I said, I like the youngest sound, BTY youngest sound. I thought that he had that New Orleans swagger, and he meshed them perfectly together with his production and his lingo and all that. I felt like he was super New Orleans. Now the Rob, I like Rob's voice because he got a baritone voice. He got the energy like how Magic might have had, like Master P and them had with the energy of their beats, or how Mystical, how Fiend them had and stuff like that. So he got that energy, he got that baritone voice. It got a little drillness in it, type of energy, but in his own way. So like you said, his voice is so unique in the way he flow and all that, make him stand out in his own way or whatever. What I would say is, I think, like I said, being true to yourself, whatever you really like or whatever, and your lingo, and trying to just keep it much as possible as yourself in New Orleans as possible. I feel like he still carry that, but I feel like his biggest tool is that he have that unique voice that separate him from so many other artists, and I feel like that's what helped Juvenile out too. Juvenile told his story, but Juvenile had that fire baritone. So I feel like finding your niche. Some people is about their personality. They know how to draw people in with their personality. Some people is the music, but I wouldn't recommend just trying to take nobody's whole style and biting the way they sound all the way and they whole lingo and all that, and feel like you're gonna stand out and be original. I don't think that's the way to go.
But you see that happens often. Like soon as one artist make it, you start hearing other artists start trying to sound like
even
that
producers.
rapper.
They do the same thing. They bite their sound.
It's like you know, just like with that last year, like everybody was damn near biting off of everything that people were doing on like Detroit.
Right.
So I kind of see people going to like kind of find their way back to New Orleans a little bit,
right? But
still try to like be like other artists.
Right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being influenced by everybody was influenced by people. I mean, in More Than Show, you know, like I said, I was influenced by Puff Daddy, Master P, Birdman, whoever, Damon Dash, them. But you take your own style and put it with it. But even Wayne was influenced by Jay-Z and Pac and a lot of people, but he found his own sound. So there's nothing wrong with being influenced. Everybody's influenced by something. But when you just straight take somebody's whole sound, and are you trying to sound just like Tupac? Are you trying to do everything Michael Jackson doing? People gonna be like, you know, you're a biter. You know, so I just feel like that's not the way to go. I feel like originality is really powerful, and people gonna appreciate when you be authentic.
Like, as far as me just looking in from other different perspectives, I just see labels only going to grab artists that's actually sounding different from the city, like separate themselves. Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, well, like I said, I wouldn't.
Like, even you take, I don't cut you off, but even like taking Baton Rouge.
All right.
As soon as Fee went to grab Young Boy and put him in a situation, everybody started trying to sound like him.
Right.
Like but also Young Boy sounded different from everybody in Baton Rouge at that time when they found him. That's like, it's like back then. As soon as Boosie started getting out, nobody sounded like Boosie.
Right. I think Boosie's voice was, like I said, he had that high pitched voice, like a Pimp C voice. It was country, what people might say, high pitched voice. Easy had a high pitched voice for a guy from Compton. Young Boy kind of had those Lil Fat ways in him. To me, I seen a lot of Lil Fat in him, right. But I like what Young Boy do because he stayed true to his sound though. He still got a rebellious attitude, and even the way his beats is, it still kind of remind me of that Baton Rouge jigginess. And look how big he is. He up there with the likes of Drake. He, you know, doing Tupac records and all, like breaking records like shit that Tupac had done when he was here alive or whatever. So, and he was always able to do that, staying true to his sound. So I feel like you can be true to who you is. Now Gates' sound evolved from when he was working with Gus and the artists at Dead Game. His production got a little bigger. I mean, his singing and all that kind of pretty much stayed the same, but his production evolved. But I feel like Young Boy pretty much stayed true to that Baton Rouge sound, and as he got bigger, the sound getting bigger, and he a rebel, and he like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it this way. It don't sound like
as we talking on like the Q Red, you know, he was like, you know, if Young Boy really didn't want to make Baton Rouge music, like he was trying to really be him, like dude, like he was influenced by Lil Fat, but he still was trying to do more of create his own type of like genre, like not genre, but of his own sound, his own type of.
I'm saying I could agree to that he did find his own way,
because he didn't really want to make the jig music and none of that type of stuff, and like, you know. And like Q Red, he used to always try to get him to do it. He's like, nah, I ain't ready yet to do that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you can still hear in the beats. I'm not saying his songs might sound like level. It might not sound like Sam I Am and the Jigger Ladies, but you can still hear the Baton Rouge type of beats. And in music, when Trill was making music, it wasn't sounding like you said, level to them. You could still hear that it sounded different from New Orleans, though. When you heard a Mouse beat, or you heard BJ, or you heard a Be Real beat from Trill, you could hear, even when you hear, like you said, Gus, or Soppin' with Ken, or even Q Red beats, or whatever, when he made songs with Young Boy, you can still hear the Baton Rouge in it. So I'm not saying it's going to sound like jiggy, like, you know, but you can hear the jigginess in it, you know?
Right. Speaking of, like, just sounds, like, you know, Baton Rouge had all these different sounds. And like now they have one on a new sound, and also on like New Orleans has a new sound now. You know, they have up there, they have on like new producers, like, you know, they have Rob, they got Cam Beamer, they got Trey Pine. They have a few new sounds, and you know it's a new wave. So how do you feel about, you know, it was just a new sound? Cause like everybody in the world was still kind of looking for that old sound.
I mean, I think it's good to have a new, fresh sound and all that stuff like that. And like you said, it's always cool. Like you said, you had in Virginia, you had Timbaland, you had the Neptunes, and you know, even when Teddy Riley was out there, even though he's from Harlem, he still brought a sound out there and all that. So it's always good to still have different producers and even evolving the sound, because music evolved from rock and roll to, you know, from when it was blues and jazz, even to modern hip hop and disco and all that. So music gonna keep changing, and it shouldn't sound like we in the '80s or whatever making records, you know, when Tim Smooth was doing it to Cash Money to even now, you know. So of course the sound supposed to evolve. I think it's always good, you know, when they come up with a fresh, new, cool sound, long as it match with the artist and what they doing, because everybody got their own little lane that they find. But it's still certain sounds that dominate the whole city, like trap is Atlanta sound, even if it might still sound like from T.I. to Jeezy to Gucci to even right now with Lil Baby and Future. That's and Slim Thug, I mean Young Thug, that's still the modern version of trap. So you still might have the jigginess, it still might have the little ingredients, and gumbo don't stop being gumbo just because it's not the 1700s and it's 2022 or whatever. So it's still gonna be there. People gonna just put different little things on it, but for the most part, the foundation is always set. So I feel like they gonna still have something that give you that New Orleans swag, even if it's the artist, the way they do their lingo, or the way they say little catch stuff like Rob49, like the Alright record. It remind me of a Soulja Slim, You Heard Me, or Juvenile, You Dig, or You Understand, the way he keep repeating shit. So that's just like things that we do that people like or whatever, that's true to who he is. So as long as you still keep that in there, I feel like from your rapping to even your productions and all that, but something fresh is always good to have, to bring some modernness to it, just bring it up to date and stuff like that.
Okay.
But always stay true, like I said, that's what I feel.
So, also about yourself, and we always see you being more of an activist now, as far as, and what is the 10-2? What is the law?
Yeah, the 10-2, that law, C. Murder affected by it because he done exhausted all his appeals in Jefferson Parish. My brother and like 1,500 other brothers and sisters throughout the state of Louisiana. That law was created after, I think it was like 1898, after the Civil War, and like I said, it was to silence the black jurors on the jury. So you had 10 people say guilty, 2 said not guilty. That was still enough to convict you. At one time it was 9-3. You needed 9 people to convict somebody and 3 to say not guilty, and you still was convicting people. So a lot of people that died over the years and never got a fair day in court. People like the Will Smith case and other people like Bill, he on that same situation too, but he's out on bond because he didn't exhaust all his appeals. But people like my brother and them have, so they trying to make it retroactive. But a lot of legislators and stuff like that, and even though the U.S. Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional, they still wanted Louisiana to try to figure it out on their own. So hopefully, the legislators, hopefully the Louisiana Supreme Court, give it some remedy and make it retroactive, or make it where people cases could get looked at, because that's not fair. And like I said, a lot of people affected by it, and a lot of people that never get a fair day in court, and they died because of that law. So yeah, I always advocate for that. And Weaver was doing it before he died too, because he had a relative that was incarcerated due to 10-2 split jury in Louisiana.
So like the crazy part is like when people ask me about, they were asking when people ask us like here in Louisiana about our laws, I'm like, man, yeah, these laws are kind of messed up.
Napoleon.
Then I'll go up north and hear how these guys from like Philadelphia get probation and parole for like 20 years.
Right.
And we don't get that in Louisiana, so it's like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's real harsh down here, bro. Like I said, Angola, the man, one of the people that actually bought the land and started it, I forgot what his name is, but he was like a general, a lieutenant or something like that in the Confederate Army, and he was so mad when they lost that he wanted to have a prison where he could lock up a lot of black people and stuff like that, and
he found a way to make slaves.
Yeah, he made it like that where they could like do this stuff. We know where they had to make the train tracks and do all that stuff like that, and that was his way of getting. And he even named it Angola because a lot of the slaves come from Angola, Africa at one time. So that's where the name come from. So it's just Louisiana just rooted in so much corruption and so
like most people don't even know
actually
where that name come from.
Yeah, it come from Angola, Africa. That's why they named it that, And it was the Alcatraz of the South because it's surrounded by water and stuff like that too. So they got the swamps and all that. But yeah, it's fucked up and the laws messed up, and that's something that I advocate for. And a lot of time people always just think I'm talking about hip hop and this and that, but I do talk about that. I talk about Louisiana hip hop. I talk about a lot of things, whatever, and all that, because I love the culture and I love where I'm from. But it's things that we could do better, and it's things that we need to have conversations about. And that's why I appreciate your platform, and what you bring to the culture too.
Right. And also, like, you have to talk about all the small towns. I'm like, dang, this dude Geedy really doing his research. Like when you be knowing about Waco, Texas. Like, dang, I'm like, I wouldn't even know about Waco, Texas if they didn't have music artists coming from out there.
Yeah, shout out to my dog Hot Boy Westwood up from Waco, Texas, and Baylor Baylor basketball team. They did that shit. But yeah, shout out to Waco, Texas, where Hot Boy West from. So you're right. So yeah, I be doing that. Like I said, the small town Louisiana, like that shit on my own, like the boot on my own, and I've been had that. And like I said, I remember being in those small country towns in rural areas in Louisiana, and our cousin would be like, man, why you dancing to that boost? And man, you look lame and all, we too cool for that shit, man. Just get the money and get out of there. But I liked their songs, so I always liked it, and I've been fans of Boost and Weber since like gangster music, ghetto stories. So I fuck with the Louisiana, I fuck with the whole South because I like Pimp C. So Pimp C was big about the South and he loved everywhere. And Pimp was originally born in Crowder, Louisiana. He just moved to Port Arthur. But that's why he had a relationship with Trill Entertainment, because he was one of the CEOs with Turk and Mel, and he had a good relationship with Master P and them at No Limit, and Bun B was really cool with Cash Money. So it always was love with just the South and all, and I fuck with him. So.
All right, and like I don't think a lot of artists actually push being from the South, how they did in the early '90s.
Right.
Like now it's more of your city and your state.
Right.
But like back in the day, it was like we the South.
Everybody versus my city versus everybody. Yeah, you're right. Back in the day,
because I heard Birdman say something on like Big Facts.
Right. What he said?
And he was telling on that Big Bank them like, man, we need to push y'all platform harder because this the South. Y'all need to be big. Just like the Breakfast Club and all that. Because everything always on the West Coast, but up north, we need big media powerhouse platforms in the South.
To push out
like, so Birdman still kind of on that agenda.
He been on that
agenda. But like, we all have to start getting back on that agenda. Because like, just the South, you can sell in the South, you don't really need too much.
Right. There are a lot of
people don't realize.
A lot of people, like you said, dog, like I think about 38% of the people that live in America live in the South. And it's like 321 million people, and there's like 112 million people that live in the South. So like I said, there's a lot of people that's in the South and all that. So getting big in the South, like when T.I. was like, I want to be the king of the South, he knew if he got the South, the whole game was going to be easy to get. Because the Midwest fuck with us really hard too, because a lot of things that was influenced by their family come from the South too. So they cling to us automatically. That's why Nelly, I think, connected so big with us with Country Grammar, naming the album that, and then having that sound that he had.
It was good marketing, man.
Good marketing, but to say what you said about Baby, I think about when P been down South hustles, he knew that I was gonna get the South behind him. He knew representing for the South with the gold teeth, he was gonna record the South dudes was gonna connect with him and get behind him. Like if you look at Outkast saying in '95 the South got something to say, everybody was like, fuck it, we gonna rally behind one another. So it was bigger than just my city and my state. It was like we all one and we all can relate to each other because we got a lot of things that we can relate to. And I feel like New Orleans connecting to that southernness would help us, and that's why I stay true to my down south shit. So it's like I know where I'm from, New Orleans, but I love the South. I mean, I respect everywhere else because I love Jay-Z and that's my favorite rapping. I love the West Coast Pac and all them easy, but I know where I'm from, and I know that the South mean a lot or whatever, and the South got a lot of power, and the South been dominating hip hop for a long time. So if we connect to that, like Baby said, and stand on that down south shit, because the South was buying Cash Money before New York was on, before Cali was on. The South, you know, they was selling records throughout Texas and Alabama and Tennessee and all that shit like that. So
all you need is the South, and like the rest of the world gonna follow. Yeah, they gonna catch on.
Right.
But like artists don't think like that. If they just be trying to move too fast and don't know, if you could just really capture these small little chicken towns and different things, you can really win.
That's what Coach K did with the Migos.
Last time we talked about.
Yeah, Coach K did that with the Migos. Like he did the same thing he did with Jeezy and Gucci, what he did with the Migos and stuff like that. The Chillin' Circus, same thing Tyler Perry did. He a billionaire now, but he started off doing plays in like, you know, Augusta, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Memphis, Tennessee, all these places like that we know church folks at, and got that southern connection, Alabama, doing stuff like that. Same thing Sam Walton did with Walmart. I mean, when Sears was dominating Kmart, he was in small town America and putting these little stores everywhere, and look at Walmart at now. We don't even, Kmart not even around no more, like talking about it. So, you know,
Kmart has like probably 3 more stores left, I think.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So it just show you that the small town America do spend money, but just you gotta connect to those people. Right. So Pimp C being from a place where it's like 70,000 people that live in Port Arthur, but he not from the biggest city in Texas, but Texas probably got about 29 million people in the whole state. But like I say, he from a place that got 70,000 people, but everybody listen to Pimp C when he say shit. Right. Even though he from a small town in Atlanta, Miami, all these places, they listen to him because he was still representing all that. And I feel like you said, we gotta push our narratives and we gotta help people like you and other people that do media get their name out there. People that do clothes from where we from, represent their brands, like how them dudes in New York was wearing Pele, Calkin out and all that shit on that coast. We gotta represent that for our people or whatever. We gotta tell our stories. We gotta support one another.
So, man, you know, both of us cool with Jay Austin, and you know, both of us been watching him put out one of like body of work, like just video after video. And I was just thinking, I'm just looking at him, like just grow as an artist and actually drop that song Ice Cream, man. Like even Master P posted, and I thought to myself, like, dang, but if this dude stayed anywhere in Texas, like anywhere like a big state like Georgia or Texas, the whole I'm like, State probably would have got behind him.
Right.
But just in like New Orleans, Louisiana, it's like it's kind of hard.
Right. Well, first of all, shout out to Ken from Baton Rouge. Shout out when Ken produced that beat that Master People reposted on his page that Jerson did. But New Orleans, Louisiana, 4.6 million people in the state. Texas, like I said, probably about 29 million or something like that. So of course, yeah, that's a bigger market, biggest state in the South. So yeah, definitely if he stayed in a place like that, he'll do good, just like Sauce Walker. But like Jerson does have a hell of a work ethic, put out a lot of content, put out a lot of stuff. But like you said, if you was somewhere like that really would appreciate that southernness, that swagger, then hell yeah, he'll be way bigger. And especially in, like I said, a place like that, because it's a bigger market, it's a bigger state.
Like, I got this thing, like every artist, like I be seeing artists don't even work that hard, just build, just because they in one bigger market.
Yeah, sometimes it be that too and all, and then sometimes it's just the way the music resonate with people. Like Wiz might be in the smaller market. When he came out of Pittsburgh, you know, most traditionalist shit, you hear stuff out of Philly, but he come out of Pittsburgh, but he had his own little way he marketed himself, the way his music sounded, the way his look was. So it's things like that, you know, no capping, it might be out of Mobile or whatever, way smaller market and stuff like that. Look, young boy, big as he is from Baton Rouge. So it's just the way you connect the music.
Shit, I mean going through Texas. I remember going to Texas when I was younger and seeing they local artists look like they was on already.
Right, because people like the music.
It was that big market too.
The big market, but it wasn't, and the music was great that the people loved. Like you might have seen a lot of people that were with DJ Screwing them. Right. But they was making the music that people out there love. So it's like really making, like Hot Boys. I mean, when they was here, we loved them too and all that. I mean, they just wasn't great because we just said we're gonna get behind it because they're from New Orleans. No, we really did like it. And
like also, we also saw the music industry behind them too.
Well, I mean, after, but I'm talking about before, you know, we was still on them or whatever. Right. Niggas was buying their records, niggas was buying Chopper City, the Hot Boys albums in '97, UNLV albums and all that. It was fire, you know. Feel I Feel, and that shit came out. Like people were still partying.
So you remember that area? So like now we don't like, you know, people don't go buy tapes and CDs and all that no more. And like, you know, I don't really hear too many people get behind local artists like that no more. Here, like how they did with the younger BGs and the younger, you know, like Master P, anybody that was like, even Big Boy Records was putting out stuff and they were going shop like now that the internet kind of messed New Orleans up. It's like I don't listen to that local person. They don't even give a person a chance.
I still like certain records still get, and I'm gonna just say 504 in general. Like even like you said, Rob record got big on the internet, and that was just New Orleans loved it, and that people outside of New Orleans loved it. It was an undeniable hit, and we knew that before. Lil Baby got on, even with S80 record when he made the Halfway a few years ago. That song got big here before Wayne even got on it.
Back in the day, they used to get behind the whole person, the album, they liked it.
Well, I mean, you talking about certain records.
I'm talking about the artists.
All right, like Superbad for a female. She got a lot of women that like her music and follow her, and she don't just got one record. Even though she got the Bedroom record, that's a big hit that got big on the internet. She still got a slew of other records too, whatever, that she could go perform shows and still do sold out shows.
But that's also in New Orleans, that's our on the top genre, bounce.
Right.
So, but I'm talking about for one hip hop artist, straight hip hop artist.
But even Back to the Ass Up, to me, Back to the Ass Up was a bounce type record, and that was one of. I mean, he put out.
But his biggest artist, but his bigger record for that CD was Hot. Then it turned to Back to the Ass Up because he dropped Hot first.
He dropped Hot first. He dropped Hot first.
That was on BT and everywhere.
No, he did drop Hot first, but it didn't do good or whatever. It didn't take
do as well as Back.
It didn't do but then they put out Back to the Ass Up late, and Back to the Ass Up wound up blowing it up more, and that so he didn't really want to do that record. He talked about it in interviews, and first he even talked about how he had to fight for Juvie to do that because he like, man, I don't want to do that. I came from doing bounce type records and stuff like that. But that wound up being his biggest record still today. Right. Old people, young people love that song. College frat fraternities, everybody, they love it, right? But like I said, even I Need a Hot Girl, it was a bounce record. Do it, doom, doom, doom. Yeah. So you know, it's still gonna be a little linear. And I'm not saying everybody got to do that.
And also speaking of the way Manny Fresh actually did that, that's actually what the people actually doing now without bounce music.
Yeah,
like the people in the mainstream,
right?
But they're not making it fully bounce. Right. They're making it industry bounce.
Right, you gotta just put a little ingredient.
You don't put a lot in it.
Right, it's like a little hot sauce, or whatever, a little something. Latona's, seasoning and stuff like that. You got to put a little of that sauce in there to make them understand it and all that. So that's what Fresh did. He just knew how to just put a little of the stuff in there that was gonna make everybody understand. And even when I think about Rob49 record with the strings and violins, think about Juvenile with the violins. Yeah. So it's like something about them strings that we love, and being our big records and all that. At least for those 2 records that hit the game the way they did or whatever. But yeah, like I said, they have artists that, but you gotta find what works for you, and sometimes it take a little time. You gotta find even like as an interview person, you might find little things that working on working. As a long more you do it, you start figuring it out or whatever. And I feel like that's what Fresh did. You get better equipment, but you see that, all right, this the sound that they like in New Orleans. If I could take this and make it go worldwide, it's gonna be big. And that's what Dr. Dre did. He wasn't trying to sound like he from New York or whatever, like Mobb Deep and all of the Wu-Tang Clan. He gave you a West Coast sound when everybody was straight out of Compton. It was disruptive. So I feel like you have to try to do things that's going to be disruptive. You can't just do what everybody else doing in the game, because it's not going to be groundbreaking. Right. And that's in fashion, that's in movies, right. That's in anything in pop culture. You got to be disruptive.
It's basically actually what separates you from everybody else.
Exactly, right. Then and Cash Money was disrupted. That's why Baby said Cash Money came and we got the game on lock. Motown did the same thing with their sound. It was disruptive, it was something new, right. And everybody wanted to be a part of Motown.
So man, you this question, like watching both of them like just break through the music industry, what do you think that both of them did like differently? Like besides No Limit and Cash Money, like when they first made it in, what do you think that they did different?
The things that I think that they did different, the things I think that they, you tell me from each other or just from everybody else in the game?
From the whole label, like both of them, because I personally I think both of them did different things to actually elevate the whole game.
Right.
Like how Master P was dropping 20, 30 albums
That's
a year.
What I'm saying. You saying what did they do different from each other, or just from
everybody,
from the whole
label,
game? All right,
label.
Those 2 labels they did from the world. All right. What I think they did, like I said, how P dropped those albums consistently dropping because he had a deal where he could put out all these projects, and he still had his label, like he was running it like it was still underground, but he was still major. The sound, the way they had production teams. Fresh still had Beowulf and them in there with him, but for the most part he had a lot of production, but it was a small crew, like how Death Row might have had, or how Rough Riders might have had a small team, but they was just so creative at Rockefeller. But then you got No Limit, they churning out beats because they got a big old production team, they got a whole lot of artists, and then they got this pen and plexel graphics on these CD covers, so now it's standing out when you go buy a record on the shelf. Master P covers standing out, or Cash Money covers standing out for people. Sonically it sounded different. It didn't sound like Organized Noise with Goody Mob and Outkast and stuff like that. It didn't sound like 8-Ball MJG. It didn't sound like UGK. They had the money and the power with the deals that was so disruptive that changed the game, and then they influenced so many other people.
Well, I'll stop you with the actually before the deals.
Okay.
Because like basically, this is my argument to like a lot of people now who's trying to start record labels.
Right.
Like but it kind of looked like the people don't got the same type of like money they had back in the day.
Right.
Because these people put out millions of dollars before they start deals, and they actually said no.
A lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Actually before, like and just think about your average person now who's probably spend $500,000 to $1 million on a record label, and but the first deal come, anything over actually what they spent, they probably gonna take it.
Right.
But like back in the day, like even how Winnie Day said, she she was allowed to actually tell the people no for 2 years.
Right.
Like people don't have that in them no more.
I think that go to showing that you gotta know what you got. And when you know you got a good hand, you know what you're working with, you gotta know, like, you never make a deal when you're desperate, because a lot of people do things they regret when they desperate from a whole lot of topics, whatever, when people desperate. So like Jesus said, when he came and did the deal with L.A. Reid, like, you got the same watch I got on, whatever. I don't need the money, we got money. But when you don't have money or whatever, or you desperate for it, somebody could dangle a carrot in front of you and you're gonna jump at it, whatever. But if you know what you got and you know what you got in your hand, then you gotta know that I gotta wait out a little bit. And that's why P did what he did. He could have jumped on the deal with Jimmy Iovine, but he knew I ain't about to sell my soul and my name for $1 million. I'm gonna wait, we're gonna do it a little better, and I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna own all this shit. And that's what he did, whatever. So I think you gotta just know what you got. And like I said, the game is different from the way it was then, because they were selling records, there was, shit was on consignment. now people streaming and all that. They doing touring. They making money off merch. But people still making a whole lot of money because a lot of these artists, they making crazy money on shows and features and stuff. Right. Some of them be like, I want $200,000 for a feature.
It's kind of like another topic I want to get on. Like basically like Master P opened on like the door for the Cash Money. Right. It's just like the same way how Lil Wayne opened the door for Youngboy to be the next biggest thing from Louisiana right now. Right. Cause like how Birdman says, like Youngboy would be the biggest artist ever, and I'm starting to see it. Right. He got a cult following. If he has a cult following, he don't need nobody. He's the only artist that sells like he sells, and don't have a drink feature. Right. Right. Exactly. Right. He don't got. So like somebody opens the door for the next person, and it's kind of how like you always used to post like, man. Like, well, not you post, but other people say GDP gonna be the next Sean Cotton. Right. Right. But and actually, you don't want to be next Sean Cotton. You want to be the next GDP, but do it bigger than what Sean Cotton did.
And I love what Sean do, whatever and all that. But like I said, I find my own way. But I get it. You know, it's just like.
And everybody got the same path.
Yeah, just like some people might say, you know, Puffy, Jay-Z, like Jay-Z said, I'm the new improved Russell, meaning he the new improved Russell Simmons. So there's nothing wrong.
And truly, as he wasn't. Right. Dame Dash was.
Right, Dame and Dash was, and Dame learned from him, but then Jay learned from both of them, and then Jay wound up being bigger and all that, but he studied all of them. But, so it's cool to study all of them, and there's always somebody like the shit Floyd Mayweather able to do is because of Mike Tyson, because of Joe Johnson, it's because of Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones, Muhammad Ali, all these people. So, you look at the contracts that Trevon Diggs might get, but you look at Deion Sanders when he got $30 million back in the day from Dallas, but the contracts they getting. Yeah. So, people always pass the baton on to the next generation so they could go further and farther than them. So it's good that young boy can be from Louisiana and be as big as he is, and people like Wayne, and then hopefully somebody can be bigger than young boy. But it's good because it's all good for Louisiana. It's all good for the gumbo pot. So I'm glad to see where they all went at. But like you said, Cash Money, No Limit, Print is definitely in the game. And from like Cameron to Nipsey to Dolph to Coach KMP to Yo Gotti, to all these people was influenced by Cash Money and No Limit and all that. Even though all of them bowed their head like Baby and P to Jay Prince and all that, a lot of the people in this era definitely was influenced by Master P and Baby, and what they did was forever game changing. The No Limit Soldiers, the Cash Money Millionaires, the movies, just being in control and being bosses and all that, and having the sound and just knowing what they want and going for it. And that's what New Orleans represent. Like independence, just like Tyler Perry. Like he had a dream, he was a high school dropout and made it happen or whatever. So I feel like that's what New Orleans have. New Orleans breed hustlers, and people could take a little bit and make something from nothing out to some. When we like give us lemon, we make lemonade. Fuck, we take something bad and make something good, some sour and make it sweet.
Okay, and they would tell us. I'm like, what's next for you?
Well, hopefully I get my damn Instagram back, because my Instagram keep getting disabled and shit be getting deleted and disabled and all that. So just that or whatever, man. Like I said, if I find an artist I like real, a lot one day, I'll be, putting out some artists and all that one day. Because that's my real passion and love, like having a record label and all. I always like working with artists and stuff like that. That's what I really like to do. Keep on blogging, like I said, trying to get better at doing interviews and YouTube and stuff. Because people like when I interview people and stuff, and just keep trying to give out information. That's what I want my page to be, and keep celebrating people like you and other people that's telling our stories and not hating on one another, not tearing one another down or whatever, because it's all about we stronger together and all that stuff like that. And all these other cities, like Birdman said, if we come together, we could be big. And I feel like that's what, and I said Atlanta always have been, it's been paradise, but for the most part, they still all about Atlanta and all that. And I feel like that's what we got to push for, like, that New Orleans versus everybody, like how Detroit be on that type of attitude. So that's what I'm about, keeping it going, keep being positive, and just keep putting on for my city and making them proud, and hopefully I am. And like I said, just thank you for the opportunity to interview me, because like I said, a lot of times people from here wouldn't do what you do and give people a chance to even have the opinions or perspectives shared. So I just want to give you flowers for that and all the stuff you do and all the hard work that you do for people that might know, Darren behind the camera.
All right, Darren gonna stay behind the camera. And last but not least, tell everybody, I'm like, what can they find you on social media?
Well, if I do get my Instagram back, it's GEEDY_P_SPEAKS, GDP Speaks, and on Twitter is Geedy_P. And that's on Twitter. And I got a YouTube channel too, so you can just put it in there. You're going to find me. Just put GDP in. Check out some of the interviews and stuff I be doing.
Well, if it is GDP, don't get his page back. It's going to be GDP Speaks 1.
Yeah, it might be
something,
something like that, man. That should be so depressing making a video and all that, but yeah. Because people like it or whatever. And like I said, Mo Diddy, I want to say this right quick. People like Mo Diddy, Jarrison, you, Benjamin's Room. A lot of other people hit me up on Twitter. People was texting me, hit me up on Facebook. Man, Geedy, where your page at? They deleted it. You where you at, man? We miss your page. We like it. So it made me feel good that people really care that what I do and they appreciate it. So I gotta keep it going for them.
And also, I want to salute you before we go camera. Like you be doing all this from work.
Yeah. I still got a 9 to 5 job. I work 5 days a week and all that. At a restaurant, and I still be blogging. I do all that myself. I gotta watch every interview, find the clips. I gotta put the posters together. I gotta put the watermark on it. I gotta go interview people and all that when I'm off. So if I could do it, then you could do it. But the main thing I will tell y'all, anybody, bro, just be consistent. Like you're gonna learn to get better. You're gonna constantly keep making adjustments and find out what work and what don't work. But just keep going. Just don't stop. If you keep going and just stay consistent, it's gonna work or whatever. Because you're gonna keep learning.
I ain't gonna lie to you. If I used to get jealous, I'm like, man, I'm like, he putting all this content out, and I don't even work. Like, I'm slipping.
Right. That's why I say, imagine if I have a team.
Yeah.
If I really had a team of people,
right.
When I really be able to fully be into it and have a team, it's gonna be on the problem. But like I said, you gotta just put them 10,000 hours in, like they said.
Oh, but all right, we done.
Nolazine, we out.
Nolazine, make them scream. Nolazine, make them SCREAM, scream. Nolazine, make them scream. You heard me.
And I think that's what it's all about.